Hi, I'm Chef Frank, this is Protocooks, and today we're making mussels al Diablo. Mussels are one of my favorite seafoods, not only because they're delicious, but they're extremely versatile. You can do whatever you want to them. You can steam them, you can bake them, you can throw them on the grill if you want, you can stuff them. But even when you steam them like I'm gonna do today, you can put whatever flavors you want in. Today I'm kind of doing a spicy tomato sauce or an al Diablo, but you could do whatever you want. If you want to just do butter and garlic and white wine, fine. They're so versatile and they're so delicious. Today I'm gonna talk about my ingredients, and then I'm gonna discuss with you guys how to purchase them, how to store them, and how to clean them. For our mussels Diablo today, this is what I got. 2.5 pounds of Prince Edward Island mussels, about 400 grams or half a can of peeled crushed tomatoes, 1 little strip of orange rind, 1 bay leaf, about 8 cloves of garlic rough chopped, about 1.5 teaspoons of chili flakes. I have about 8 tablespoons of butter. I'm probably not going to use it all. This is unsalted butter, whole butter. I'll probably use about 4 to 5 ounces. A half of a large red onion sliced, about 1.5 cups or a cup of dry white wine, and a little bit of olive oil just to start sweating everything out. First thing I want to talk about is purchasing mussels, okay? When you go to the store, you're going to buy mussels by the pound. You don't buy them by the piece. Like clams and oysters, you generally buy by the piece, but mussels you're going to buy by the pound. And I usually do about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds per person because they're mostly shell. So you're going to be picking the shells and eating just a little bit of meat. So 1.5 pounds per person. The other thing I want to talk about is what you should be looking for when you're buying mussels, okay? For the most part, you want your mussels to be closed. If your mussels are closed, it means they're alive. But that being said, if they're open, it doesn't necessarily mean they're dead. A lot of times when mussels get warm, right, if they're not cold, they'll start to open up a little. So what you'll want to do is tap them, right? And if you tap them and they close, they might close fairly slowly, they're still good. You can still use them. If they stay open, you want to throw them away. You want mussels to be alive until you put them in the pot. So you got to be really careful. You don't want to eat mussels that are open, especially after you cook them. If they stay closed, you throw them away, you don't eat them. You also want to smell, right? If you smell the mussels and they smell like low tide, they're no good. You want mussels to smell like a nice ocean breeze, like the beach. They shouldn't be too stinky. If they're stinky, you probably got some bad mussels, and don't eat them because you don't want to get sick from these babies. After you buy your mussels, you're going to want to clean them. This is how you do it. Mussels usually have a little bit of a beard. So this is a like fibrous secretion, I guess, or something that they make that lets them hold on to ropes or lets them hold on to piers. They usually attach to rocks, ropes, or piers. You're going to want to take that out. So you just grab a hold of that beard, give it a wiggle, and it pops right out. Those just don't taste very good. They're very weird texture. You just don't want to eat them. Nowadays, most of the mussels you get are de-bearded, but you might have to go through and pick some beards out. The other thing I like to do is make sure that the outside of the mussels are really clean. So I rinse them with some nice cold water. If you have a stiff bristle brush, give them a scrub if they're a little dirty, but they don't grow in the sand, so you don't have to worry about sandiness. Another thing you want to think about when you're cleaning is testing your mussels for life, right? So these mussels are open. What I like to do, instead of tapping every single mussel to see if it's alive, if you're rinsing them under the water and you shake them, all the mussels kind of bump into each other, and that in effect is tapping them on the side. So after you rinse them and give them a shake, if there's any open mussels, you should throw those away. The last thing I want to talk about is storage of the mussels. So if you buy them a day or two ahead, you can store them in the fridge and they'll stay perfectly fine. I like to have them in a colander, right? Take the colander, put it into a large bowl, okay? And then we take ice, put ice directly on top of the mussels, right? So the colander will keep the mussels out of the water because you don't want these to sit in the water because they will basically drown, right? You put your ice on top. The ice will not only keep the mussels cold, it'll kind of, as the ice melts, it'll kind of kind of like gently wash the mussels. That water that's in the bowl gets tossed and your mussels stay nice and cold and fresh. Let's cook the mussels. Before we do that, I want to talk about my pot really quick. I'm using a heavy cast iron pot that has enamel. I try and stay away from pots like aluminum or iron pots because sometimes they give you a weird off flavor, especially because we're using wine. So try and use a stainless steel pan or a cast iron pan that has enamel on it, okay? I got this pot on my honeymoon with my wife. I guess she thought I was a little crazy because we had this one and another one that was oval, and we had to bring it back on our luggage, and it was really heavy. So this one is near and dear to me. So now that my pot's hot, I'm gonna add my olive oil. And I'm gonna start with my aromatics, my onions. Now we're gonna get the onions a little bit of salt here, just to kind of start drawing out some of their moisture. Turn my heat up just a little bit. I want to get just a little bit of color on my onions and my garlic. Now we wait. Okay, I think we can add our garlic now. I like a fair amount of garlic in these. I like garlic. When I cut garlic, I tend not to chop it too fine. I always use fresh garlic, nothing out of a can or a jar. The garlic, basically what happens with the garlic is the more you chop it or process it, the stronger it gets. And that's when you like taste garlic for days. So I basically chop my garlic as little as possible. Cool. So I'm gonna wait for the garlic just to get a little bit of color on it. Smells great, it's super fragrant. I think I'm gonna add my chili flakes now. I like to add the chili flakes now because it gives a little bit of the oil, it gives the oil a little bit of spice to it. Just be careful, you'll breathe this in, it'll give you a little kind of choking sensation, so don't put your face over it when that happens. So you see how my oil went from kind of like that nice olive oil color to deep red, okay? Cool, oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the big step, right? Once my aromatics or my flavorings for my sauce are cooked, I'm gonna add the mussels in, right? So I get my mussels, I've already checked these. You can see some that opened. I just give them a quick little tap to make sure they're alive. I'm gonna take all my mussels and dump them into the pot. Mussels don't take long to steam. Mussels take maybe like 6 or 7 minutes. Add all my mussels. I'm gonna top it off with my wine. My orange rind. I use orange rind. I just love the flavor of citrus with tomatoes. My bay leaf and my tomatoes. Get all that in. Give it a good stir. Now, I didn't cook my wine off. I like some of the acidity of raw wine. The alcohol will cook off, but for the most part, I want some of that acidity and some of that raw wine flavor. I like it, okay? At this point, I'm gonna season with a fair amount of salt. Give it a stir. And I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna let them steam for about 6 to 7 minutes, and then we'll come back and finish the sauce. Been about 6 or 7 minutes. The mussels are steamed. Check this out. Whoa. Okay, I'm gonna give them a quick stir. Make sure everything is open. Okay, good. And then I'm gonna take my mussels out. Here's the key, right? I have this spider here. I'm gonna put them into a nice warm dish. And then I'm gonna finish my sauce. Now, this is something we do in restaurants all the time. We finish our sauce. The sauce has already a good base of flavor with the wine, the tomatoes, and all that. But at the end, I want to do my final seasoning in the pot and then pour that sauce over the mussels. So I strain everything out, leave the balance of the sauce in the pot. So you can see my sauce is bubbling away happily. I'm gonna add some butter. Butter makes everything better. And the butter is gonna basically make this sauce, give it a little bit of body. It'll round out some of the flavors. Like, so butter will help with this being spicy. It might not be too spicy. Okay, so I'm going to use about 6 tablespoons of the butter. Let it simmer away. One thing I forgot to talk about in the ingredients is parsley. I have some chopped flat leaf Italian parsley, about 1/4 to 1/2 cup. I'm going to put that in at the last minute so that it just gives that bright parsley flavor. I think people put parsley in food just for the color, but I love the flavor. It's bright, it's sharp, it cuts some of those like really rich flavors. Okay, I'm going to give it a taste. Tastes good. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt just to season it up. Okay, I'm going to wait till my butter is all melted and incorporated. It gives this sauce a really nice kind of rich flavor. Parsley's going to go in. I'm going to take it, put it aside for a sec. Take my mussels, put those right on top. And I'm going to take the sauce. Now, usually you can spoon this over, but I got a lot of sauce here, and I'm not patient like that. So you take the finished sauce, and it goes right over the top. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's gorgeous. And it only took about 15 minutes total. Now for the moment of truth, let's taste. I want to show you how I learned how to eat mussels. So the first mussel you grab, leave the mussel intact, eat it, drink the juice. Oh my God, they're so delicious. Then you take this shell and you use this shell as your utensil, right? And then you can take all the juice out and you stack your shells. Next one, so good. Take your shell, use it like a little pincer. Oh my God, and then you just stack your shells and you go for it, right? You need to have a big piece of crusty bread for this to get all that juice in the bottom. Don't forget the crusty bread. I also want you to remember, if your mussels are closed at this point, don't eat them, throw them away. They should all be open. Any closed mussels go right in the garbage. These are delicious. They're not really hard to make. They're kind of simple, actually. They only take about 10-15 minutes in all, like prepping the vegetables and cooking the mussels. Great for a weeknight meal. And that's mussels al Diablo. Let me know in the comments how you make mussels. I love to hear about recipes from around the world, people local to me. Just put it in the comments. Tell me what you do. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit the little bell to get notified when we have new videos. We have merch in the link down below. Need Salt t-shirts, but also sweatshirts. This is my Need Salt sweatshirt. I love it. It's super comfy. I'd like to thank our patrons for supporting us. We have an address in the description down below if you want to contact us that way. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Chef Frank. This is Proto Cooks. Have a good one.